Hello everybody and welcome back to another Host Productions Doctor Who product review. In today's review I'm going to be taking a look at the latest addition to the Doctor Who Complete Season box set collection. This time round a very important season within Doctor Who history, being Season 26, starring Sylvester McCoy as the 7th Doctor alongside Sophie Aldred as Ace. The final ever classic season of Doctor Who before Doctor Who went on a break to then return with Doctor Who the movie in 1996 and then of course the revival in 2005. Now this release is currently available to order from the usual retailers including HMV, Zoom and Amazon. However, as per usual with this series, it has been highly popular so far. Some of the most recent box sets do seem to be selling out a little bit slower than some of the previous ones, including Season 12 and Season 19 and 18. However, I still recommend buying this product as soon as possible in order to avoid disappointment. And just as a side note, for those of you that are missing Season 12, of course you can currently order Season 12 once again for a reissue. I do believe is coming at the back end of February 2020. Recommended retail for this product is around £50, however the vast majority of retailers are selling it for around £39. I ordered mine from Zoom and it did in fact arrive incredibly quickly. As per usual, we do have the returning features on this box set, including a mass of behind the scenes interviews and special features, as well as a brilliant artwork cover piece from the one and only Lee Binding. So as per usual, the box set does of course come displayed in a cardboard slipcase. At the bottom of this we do have the new series Doctor Who logo. This time round it has been given a rather eerie looking green glow, and just below this we have your usual The Collection Season 26. This box set is rated a 12 and it does in fact feature 7 discs. As per usual, on the side of the box do have a little bit of repetition, once again stating Season 26, the BBC logo and the rating, and on the back we get your usual format stating all of the episodes that appear within this box set, as well as the company information, and of course a list of the brand new special features. For those of you that do not know, Season 26 does in fact only feature 4 serials, along with the vast majority in fact of the later half of 80s Doctor Who due to budget cuts. These do of course include Battlefield, Ghostlight, The Curse of Fenric and Survival. At the opposite side to this we get a lovely image of the 7th Doctor and the Master from Survival, which I will be taking a look at in a little bit. As per usual, this box set does of course contain a massive amount of special features from the Behind the Sofa series, brand new making of documentaries and of course extended cuts to stories, as well as 5.1 surround sound, which makes this product incredibly worth your purchase, to be honest, even if you got the original classic series DVDs. I'm in a rather lucky spot where I didn't even buy those. I did in fact have DVD files, but every single special feature within these box sets pretty much brand new to me and I've never seen any of them before, making these worth the recommended retail price and beyond. Moving down from this, it does also state that this box set does contain your usual special features that were previously released on DVD, as well as this box set starring Sylvester McCoy and Sophie Aldred. It may have been nice to also get a little bit of a quote on there, also starring Nicholas Courtney, of course, his final ever appearance really within Doctor Who. He did of course then return in Sarah Jane Adventures, of course, rather brilliantly, and it may have also been nice to have a credit to Anthony Ainley on there as well, given that it was of course his last ever classic series appearance. And then of course to finish this slipcase off we have your usual Blu-ray detailing information, including that the feature length is 537 minutes approx. That is a lot of Doctor Who, so much so you can in fact stay inside all day simply just watching Doctor Who, not needing to interact with any other human whatsoever, and stay inside in the dark, you and the TV screen and Sylvester McCoy. Doctor Who fans have issues, don't they? As per usual, of course, the slipcase is removable because that is the point of a slipcase, to reveal the textless artwork that Lee Binding has created underneath, making it consistent to the previous box sets within this series. And as always, the artwork is absolutely awful. Of course I'm joking, Lee Binding has once again done a phenomenal job on the artwork for this box set, and if anything it is the highlight of these box sets for me. They just look absolutely brilliant and breathe 21st century modern life into classic series Doctor Who, and to me in fact appeal to a broader audience simply down to how modern and vibrant they look. So we do of course have Sylvester McCoy there on the front looking rather proud with his little hat on, and we do also have a really lovely constellation piece in the background, possibly of course referencing the opening titles to his era, having lots of asteroids that look like crunched up pieces of paper, with some really nice colours coming around the side. We have a rather ambery colour at this side, or even a red ruby colour, and then we have a little bit of a greeny blue glow coming from this side as well. Who knows, maybe reflecting the multiple personalities that this Doctor has, the comedic side and the much more darker, mysterious side. I'm probably looking into this a bit too much. Of course, moving down, we do have the inclusion of the 7th Doctor's brown, darker costume, which did of course appear throughout season 26. We do also have the umbrella, which has been rather nicely reconstructed, with lovely glow coming from this, and then as per usual, the costume itself does have all those details that you would come to expect. A brief look at the question mark jumper, of course we have the tie, as well as of course the lovely patterned scarf that does dangle underneath the 7th Doctor's lapels, and even the inclusion of course of the keychain there at the bottom. As per usual, and a reoccurring theme with these box sets is we do have an inclusion of a series of the different monsters that we do of course see throughout this season, including the Ancient One Omnivore, the Angel Person from Ghostlight, the Ainley taken over by the Cheetah People, of course from Survival, the Destroyer from Battlefield, as well as Morgaine there at the bottom, within her futuristic looking orb, as well as one of the Knights. Once again, there is a rather lovely looking green glow coming from this, just reminding me of the possessed effect that was seen within the Curse of Fenric. As per usual, all of the images used are incredibly sharp and detailed, and to be honest look like modern photography, and due to this being one of the later seasons of Doctor Who, I imagine that there was probably more source material out there of a higher quality compared to that of some of the earlier seasons. I do definitely wonder how they are going to try and achieve the cover art for some of the 60s seasons of Doctor Who, where I imagine not really many source images of some of the monsters exist within a high quality. As per usual, the slipcase of the cover box follows exactly the same format, featuring a smaller version of the cover along with the Doctor Who logo and the season 26 banner at the very bottom. And then of course, flipping around to the back of the box, we have a continuation of your usual format, including a really lovely graphic of the TARDIS, once again almost a modern interpretation of the 1980s theme, including the exterior box within a rather bubble-esque design, including a few light beams coming from this, one division of colour, with blue at one side and pink at the other, along with a few asteroids coming around the bottom. Much like with the front of the box, this artwork is incredibly high quality and stylish, and I love it as per usual. There is also the inclusion of the season number around each individual side of the box. As per usual, this has been made of high quality corrugated cardboard, however I recommend still keeping it safe when on the shelf, as naturally due to it being made of cardboard, you can still get little indentations on the corners, which you do not want, especially if it's the case of the original season 12, which I'm pretty sure you could sell on eBay for the equivalent of one semi-detached house. So taking a look on the inside of the box itself, once again, your same design where you have the disc trays on one side and of course the leaflet information on the other. I can recall the inside artwork of the first season 12 box set simply only featuring the TARDIS exterior from that era. However, each individual release has exceeded the previous one. We now pretty much have an individual artwork piece on the inside of the box itself, which is just as impressive as the cover on the outside. This time round we have a TARDIS inspired piece of artwork from the Curse of Fenric, sporting the rather unpredictable weather that was seen on shoot for that story, including a little bit of lightning of course, and the rain beating down on the TARDIS. In the background of this, we do have the rather brilliant looking omnivores lurking in the mist, along with a range of the different costumes seen throughout that story, as well as of course the 7th Doctor with his umbrella, holding I do believe what is the TARDIS key, looking incredibly sad indeed. And then of course we have the cloggy mud surrounds coming around the TARDIS. Overall it's absolutely brilliant, and in itself could be a movie poster. And in case that artwork wasn't enough, opening up the cardboard case with the piece of Velcro attaching this, we have another piece of artwork dedicated to Survival. Once again, an incredibly impressive cinematic design, also used on the front of the booklet, which we'll be taking a look at in a second. And then of course the inside of this to show the TARDIS console room, the last ever appearance of this TARDIS console room in fact, from the 1980s. And from what I can remember of watching season 26, this only really appeared once. And we had in that scene, in fact, a very dimly lit TARDIS console room, which is reflected here, simply just to hide the fact that by this point the TARDIS console room was literally falling apart. So overall, a nice variation on this TARDIS console room, and it is nice that it is season specific, a really lovely touch. And as per usual, the TARDIS console room design, the 3D design of this, features some brilliant details, including of course the time rotor and the different components on the side of the screens of the TARDIS, including even the location of Battlefield. Now this is of course the 3D design that's also featured the menu sequences on each individual disc. As for the disc trays, I'm happy to report this time round that we have ease of access once more. My Season 23 box set was incredibly difficult because it was glued that far into the side where you couldn't really flip between the different discs at all without tipping it upside down. So you have each individual disc with a brand new style of artwork, including of course on the first one the 7th Doctor and Ace there, and then we have the second version of Battlefield, including the Brigadier and Brigadier Bambera, so of course Alistair Stewart there. Then we have Ghostlight, including the two people from that story that currently I've forgotten the names of. However, of course, one thing is certain, and it's that they want to go to Java. And then we have Sophie Aldred on the first disc of The Curse of Fenric, which makes sense given that is of course her story. And then we also have on the second disc for The Curse of Fenric one of the main soldiers, in fact, that had a little bit of a relationship going on with Ace, of course surrounded by the Omnivores, looking incredibly gothic and eerie indeed. Then we have the final episode disc, which is the 7th Doctor wielding some cat food as seen within the early half of Survival. And then the final disc is currently in the Blu-ray player still. It's got the TARDIS on, I'll get it out in a second, but we do have at the bottom, of course, as per usual, the 7th Doctor's face, all silvered up, seen within the 7th Doctor title sequence, with a little bit of a vortex surrounding this. We go hot off the press of watching the special features. The bonus disc does of course feature the TARDIS exterior, and as you've seen, all of the discs have this rather bright and colourful red ambient design along with a golden trim. It does of course make all the discs feel nice and consistent, and I like the fact that all of them have different designs depending on what box set they are in. I do believe the Season 10 box set, for example, had a rather green theme, however this time round it is of course red. The booklet itself, once again, is written by Pete McTighe and is a nice guide to Season 26 as a whole, which is great to read whilst you are watching the stories themselves. We have a lovely piece of artwork on the front to represent Survival, arguably a much more hellish landscape compared to what is seen throughout the story itself, including of course a representation of the final act of Survival, seeing of course the Master and the 7th Doctor fighting, a brilliant end fittingly to classic season Doctor Who. Taking a look at the special features for the opening story, which is of course Battlefield, a 4-part episode featuring the return of the Brigadier, we have multiple different versions of this story, starting off with the TV version, first broadcast in 1989, fully restored to Blu-ray. There's also your usual audio commentary, as with all of the episodes on this box set, along with your usual optional 5.1 surround sound and isolated music soundtrack, along with info text. Because this one is of course divided over 2 discs, the first disc does in fact have very little special features, including the Season 26 press trailer from back in the day of the 1980s, as well as your BBC continuity announcements, also present for all of the episodes within this box set, as well as your standard photo gallery. Of course also feature a second variation of Battlefield, this time around a feature-length version, including updated special effects, along with PDF written material, also present for all of the stories within this box set. The second disc features the VHS version of Battlefield, once again a feature-length version, which was released a number of years ago, along with your standard making-of documentary for the episode, which is also present for all the other episodes within this box set, featuring your usual interviews with the cast, as well as the producers at the time, as well as a detailed look at the story itself from the writing perspective from Ben Aranovich. And if all of that wasn't enough, also for Battlefield, there's your usual Behind the Sofa, Becoming the Destroyer, which is a small little featurette on the mask of the Destroyer itself, gallery FX footage, studio and location footage, water tank footage, which famously did of course see Sophie Aldred nearly die on set, as well as Noel's Saturday Roadshow from the TV archive, a tribute to Nicholas Courtney, and Jean Marsh featurette, which is an interview with Jean Marsh discussing her many different roles within Doctor Who, including Crusade, the Daleks' Master Plan, and of course finally Battlefield. Next up, we are going on a trip to Gabriel Chase in the second episode of Season 26, being of course a 3-part story, Ghostlight. As per usual, your normal audio commentary with info text and surround sound, along with an extended work print to Ghostlight, as well as your usual TV variation of the story. Now, I definitely recommend watching the extended work print, as this makes the story ever so slightly clearer compared to the transmission version. There's also the normal making of documentary discussing the complexity of the story itself, behind the sofa seeing the rather baffled cast try and dissect the story itself, along with your deleted and extended scenes. There is also studio footage, an interview with Mark Platt from I do believe Panopticon in 1990, and A Little Girl Lost, which is a documentary into Sophie Aldred's time on Doctor Who, basically discussing the journey of Ace and her relationship with the Doctor since Dragonfire up until the end of Survival. A nice character piece and a good presentation of the character. The additional features on this disc are the usual ones that you come to expect, along with all of the other stories on this set. And just to make this box set even more special in presentation, there is also individual artwork pieces for the stories within the set, along with information about the recording of the story, the reception, and the production. Next up, we have my personal favourite story of the season, being The Brilliant Curse of Fenric, as written by Ian Briggs. Now, there is in fact multiple different versions of this story that you can decide to watch, including the TV version that was of course transmitted on BBC One. There is the special edition version, which is a feature-length version of the story with none of the intro credits, so it's just a straight run, not split into individual parts, which makes this story feel like a grand movie in a way. And then there is also the third version to watch this story, which once more is the extended VHS version of the episode. Disc 4 does in fact feature two versions of the story itself, along with the normal audio commentary and isolated music scores, and doesn't really feature any of the special features. Disc 5, however, does feature the special features, including the making of documentary, discussing the episode itself and the struggles seen on set, simply because they had to film pretty much a whole movie production within a period of around 14 days. Further special features on this set also include interviews with Ian Briggs, the writer of the story, Ken True, who is the costume designer for this season of the show, location and recce footage for the story, Take 2, which is a piece of TV archive talking about how scary Doctor Who monsters are allowed to be. There's also a featurette talking about the creation of the Omnivore masks, as well as convention footage for the cast of The Curse of Fenric, along with PDF written material. Overall, this story is once more crammed with special features, giving a really good insight into the story itself. And because I'm feeling generous, here is another example of one of the stunning pieces of artwork that can be seen within this booklet. And finally, there are worlds out there where the sky is burning, etc, etc. We are of course taking a look at the 6th disc of the set, being the final classic series Doctor Who story, Survival, a 3-part episode, as written by Mona Munro. Now this disc does of course start off with your usual things that you would come to expect. This time round we have a 2-part making of documentary, featuring interviews with the cast for this episode, discussing the creation of the episode itself, along with of course stating that this is the last ever episode of Doctor Who. There's also deleted scenes for this story, as well as outtakes, which are absolutely hilarious. Some of the best outtakes giving a perfect insight into Sophie Aldred and Sylvester McCoy's relationship in between takes. It's absolutely brilliant and shows how warm and true their relationship is. There's also location footage and a brand new feature that was recorded in 2019, being the writer's room for season 26, featuring all of the writers for all of the serials reuniting over a drink and discussing their episodes. This is one of my personal favourite reoccurring features that are seen within these box sets, and it's brilliant to have them within the later seasons of the show. Of course, that will be very difficult to do for the early episodes of Doctor Who due to the majority of the writers sadly being no longer with us. However, it's great to see these for the later box sets, and once again provides a nice insight into the writers reflecting upon their own work. Now time has of course passed. Due to this episode being the last televised story for the 7th Doctor, there is also your usual things that you would come to expect on the final box set for an incarnation of the classic series Doctors, including your normal features returning, including Stripped for Action, discussing the 7th Doctor era's portrayal within the comics, as well as some Panopticon archive footage featuring Sylvester McCoy and Sophie Aldred at Panopticon in 1993. There is also Tomorrow's Times, discussing how Sylvester McCoy's time on Doctor Who was reported in the mainstream press, which is interesting because Doctor Who is always referred to in media today, and more than often media sources do blow information over the top and create wild and stupid theories. However, to be honest, it's always been the same, as Tomorrow's Times does show. And finally, we have the bonus disc, where no actual TV serials are featured on this. However, we do have Sophie Aldred in conversation, once more seeing Matthew Sweet returning to give a full-length interview. Sophie Aldred, who does of course portray Ace, a lovely and professional piece, and it's almost like Who Do You Think You Are, or Life Stories, but a Doctor Who variation upon it, not just discussing Doctor Who, but the entire career of Sophie Aldred, and even discussing her early life. I definitely learned something from it, and I really enjoyed watching it. Next up we have Showman, The Life of John Nathan Turner, an absolutely phenomenal documentary discussing of course JNT and his essentially contribution to Doctor Who history, and had he not been in Doctor Who at this time, no doubt Doctor Who would be long gone from our TV screens. This is a wonderfully professional documentary, and it blows my mind that Doctor Who fans are actually treated to such brilliant people who are working on these special features. An amazing piece, and the likes that I would come to expect on, say, BBC One. Incredibly high quality, probably filmed on, to be honest, quite a low budget. However, there is so much heart, the brilliant people that they've got interviewed throughout this, providing a brilliant perspective on John Nathan Turner and their experiences with him. And once again, I learned a lot from that documentary, one of my personal favourite pieces have ever been featured on the complete season box sets. There is also Endgame, discussing the end of classic series Doctor Who, which is a rather intriguing documentary that I enjoyed watching. There is also the 7th Doctor Revisited, which was of course recorded for the 50th anniversary, and I do believe broadcast on American TV, talking about the 7th Doctor, providing a few interviews once more, and basically discussing his era of the show for the viewers that haven't seen it. Also Who Peter, the Blu-ray trailer, which is also available on the official Doctor Who YouTube channel, and finally some PDF material. So much like all the box sets that have been released in this series so far, they've been really stingy with the special features and provided absolutely nothing. Once more, I'm of course being sarcastic. Once more, this box set is crammed to the brim with brilliant documentaries, brilliant insights into Doctor Who, and to be honest, we're incredibly lucky as Doctor Who fans, as I always state in these videos, to be treated to all of this brilliant TV archive material and additional documentaries. Something that I've come to realise with the complete season box sets is it is an absolutely perfect way to experience classic series Doctor Who, because unlike the singular DVDs, you can't really avoid the episodes that don't stand out to you. You are buying the whole season in bulk and experiencing it from the very start until the very end. And simply, I don't do this intentionally. However, when these box sets are released, it is very rare that I actually know the special features and what is going to be contained within it. And when I put in the disc and look through the lists of what is present within the discs themselves, that is normally my first time to actually see what is on the box set itself, and that is simply because at the minute I've been rather busy outside the actual channel and I've got an actual life other than Doctor Who. And when it came to actually watching these box sets, I've noticed that you're not only experiencing the TV stories, but when you watch the special features in bulk, you get to know the producers and directors and costume designers of the time, and you go on a journey with the production team, as I say, from the very start of the season until the very end. In a way, I can only describe it as a soap opera. You are watching these people create Doctor Who, and in an odd way, the special features are kind of a story in itself, a documentary into the making of Doctor Who as a whole. The people that you meet along the way become characters. You get to find out their relationships with different people and different members of the cast and production team, and you find out what are their aims, what do they want to do with their version of Doctor Who. It's a brilliant commentary to the season as a whole, and as always, I thoroughly enjoyed revisiting this area of Doctor Who, and I highly recommend buying these box sets if you are new to classic series Doctor Who. And even, to be honest, if you've got the DVDs, I just love them in every way, and they are so collectible, welcoming to new audiences. They're just perfect in many ways. So overall, for the Doctor Who The Collection Complete Season 23 Blu-ray box set starring Sylvester McCoy as the 7th Doctor, and the final end to classic series Doctor Who, with the exception of course of the TV movie. This is another brilliant addition to the collection, and if you haven't experienced these classic season stories before, or even the 7th Doctor era as a whole, then without a doubt I definitely recommend buying this box set. If you are a fan that have bought the DVDs beforehand, then perhaps yes, this isn't an essential purchase for for you. However, if you've got the previous complete season box sets, this is something that you should definitely buy. I don't need to tell you that, because once you've bought one, you probably want the next, and then you want the next. It's an incredibly addictive series, and just think, by the very end, we could potentially have all 26 seasons on the shelf, plus a Wilderness Years box set, of course. I just think there is something brilliant about these sets, and I absolutely love the fact that, as I always mention within these reviews, episodes themselves are only the tip of the iceberg. The special features within this box set, as per usual, are incredibly detailed and are an incredibly intriguing watch to provide an insight into the making of 1980s Doctor Who. The brand new special features are phenomenal. The making and the life of John Nathan Turner is, as I say, one of the best box set special features I've ever witnessed in relation to a Doctor Who box set, along with the interview, of course, with Sophie Aldred and the brilliant writer's room also making a return. The special features and the making of documentaries are as detailed as ever, and of course the artwork and presentation is absolutely phenomenal, and I can't wait to see the future seasons within this series. Of course, the next box set to be released as a part of this series is season 14, of course starring Tom Baker, as it is the season of Doctor Who to feature the one and only Talons of Weng-Chiang, starring Jago and Lightfoot, the Face of Evil, the Deadly Assassin, and the Robots of Death. So it looks to be an incredibly exciting box set, once again packed to the brim with special features, and naturally, with it being a Jago and Lightfoot themed box set, I can't wait to see it, and I'm just hoping there is maybe a tribute to Trevor Baxter on there, because I feel like it's only right by this point. But either way, I can't wait to review that box set when it is, of course, released, which at the current time of filming is April, so not that long to wait. So thank you very much for watching this review. I hope you have enjoyed it. If you have any questions about this product, then please do leave them in the comment section below, and I'll try my best to answer them at some point in the near future. Thanks again for watching, and do stay tuned on The Host Productions for brand new Doctor Who content each and every week. Thanks for watching, I shall see you all next time. Bye for now.